Okay, officially, good afternoon. Welcome to, I hope you noticed, the new logo. I do miss the bull. Options Income Launchpad Weekly Market Wrap. My name is Scott. One syllable. And I'll be your host. It's good to see everyone. Those who are listening at home, we miss you. We would prefer if you came live if possible. If you can't, make sure you send a doctor's note in. As always, what we're doing is education and illustrative purposes only. Nothing here is intended or should be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security or financial product, because we're not brokers, we're not advisors. Therefore, any decisions made should be done at your own risk, yada, yada, yada. Today's market analysis, ultimately pretty good. We'll revisit our posture, also held up. I got an email from someone who was like, hey, I've had some losers. We've had more losers recently. There's been some volatility. A couple that were listed, I thought, well, some of those are how we manage, and that's just a learning process. I still feel pretty comfortable with what we're seeing in the market. So mindset for trades being carried. We put a new one on. And then, of course, Futu just sort of hiccuped a little bit. And it's like, all right, well, for some of us, we might think hiccup, I'm going to give it some room. Some think I just want to take my losses and get rid of them. Okay. If you do, the risk is that, like the Reddit trade, it hiccuped last time. Not a big one. Not as much as maybe like APH did. But after it hiccuped, it did exactly what was expected. And so that's hard, right? It's hard because, of course, we would love for trades to just immediately do exactly what we want them to do. But that's also not realistic. So we'll talk about how what we want to do with trades being carried over the weekend. We'll look at, what? We got CPE. Nope. That's CPI. We got PCE numbers today. They came in as expected, so slightly upticked in inflationary pressures, but not more than was expected or that's already priced in, which therefore did not warrant or necessitate something else being priced in, an adjustment, so to speak. But we'll take a look at next week's economic calendar to see what we have, what there might be that the Fed is going to be keeping an eye on. We'll go through the opportunity list, and then we'll wrap up our trading plan progress with risk management, and then we'll move on to routines and go from there. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay, here first. Investors are sticking with U.S. stocks. All right. Where did we finish? We finished with the S&P up 0.5%, the Dow up 0.75%, NASDAQ close to 0.5%, Russell close to 1%. All boding fairly well for what we're looking for. As John mentioned, the VIX turning over, looking to ideally give us confirmation from a sentiment perspective that institutions are feeling pretty good overall. Sticky inflation reading unlikely to knock the Fed off. That was what we were talking about, right? Do we see there was a little bit of a blip, right? Our 95% probability dropped to 85 when we had a favorable weekly jobless claims number that dropped from 235,000 to 218 or 212 or whatever. It knocked off a good chunk. So whatever weakness we've seen in the labor market, it seems to have stabilized at least. We're not seeing like increased weakness. We're not seeing jobless claims rising. We're not expecting a negative number, I wouldn't say, from the next. And it's coming up next week. So as we look at that, I believe next Friday is October 3rd. So yeah, next week being the first week of October, we're going to expect some labor data. And we know that's going to be important to the Fed's calculations as far as the determination of whether the next cut is going to come at the end of the month. As of right now, sticky but not increased. Sticky inflation meaning it didn't come down, but sticky meaning it also did not go up. What else? Anthropic to triple workforce as AI models drive growth outside the U.S. Wow, tripling. Anthropic, if you're not familiar, is the company that builds the AI model Claude. 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 And I'm a fan, actually. I subscribe to ChatGPT. That's kind of the gold standard still. But Claude is right there. So a lot of times if I'm gonna say, hey, let's get a second opinion, a second AI opinion, I will go to Claude. Fed's Mirren math may overstate the impact of immigration on inflation. I don't know about the immigration impact on inflation, but the immigration impact on growth is certainly quite favorable. That's something a lot of people don't talk about, but we need a country that's growing in population, wherever that's going to come from. I've actually heard, someone tell me if you've heard this same thing. I've heard that we're starting to see a little bit of problematic birth rates. Have you guys heard that? That our birth rate is slowing down to a point where it's starting to cause concern. Tell me if that's something you've heard. I've like people just aren't having as many babies, which is like, hey, we need babies. We need a population growing. That is one of the most significant detriments to the Japanese economy, was an aging population that was not getting replaced. China has a huge problem with this as well. Okay, press. I know you in the healthcare sector tend to have a good ear to that. So how are our birth rates? Am I overstating that, or is that something that's because immigration certainly does help if you have a decreasing birth rate that may verge on becoming problematic. So anyway, there you go. I think that's everything here. Let's take a quick gander at the news. How Trump's new tariffs could make your kitchen renovation more of a headache. I'm not renovating my kitchen, but I am thinking about refinishing my basement, or not refinishing, finishing my basement in the next year or so, which would require a kitchen, obviously. Okay, what did we get? We got income up a tick from expectations. Sideways from previous, up a tick from expectations. Unfortunately, the money they made is also being spent. Spending is up a tick as well. Everything else came in as expected, which is great. We were a little concerned, I think, about a surprise increase in PCE. And I said any surprise increase in PCE for me likely would have meant a market reaction, but we didn't. So there you go. Consumer sentiment came in slightly lower than expected, but this is actually a minor report. I'm not too concerned about that. Next week, what do we have? We start off with some Fed speak. Christopher Waller, Beth Hammack, John Williams. Atlanta's got a good one. Raphael Bostic. Do you think it's a hard C or a ch? Bostic? Bostic? I don't know. Tuesday. What else? Philip Jefferson. Let's see. Home index, Chicago. So we have job openings. The news last time with job openings was that we dropped below the 1-for-1, one job for every searcher, which we had been at or above for quite some time. That's not a standard thing. Like, that's not if you go back pre-pandemic to a good labor market, that was never a threshold or an expectation. So I don't know how it became. I think that just became like, oh, well, this is our new norm. I'm not worried about that personally. Consumer confidence. This is a more important consumer confidence number. And then, of course, our guy, Austan Goolsbee. That may be the greatest last name. At least it's top 3. Goolsbee. I really would like to change my name to that. ADP employment on Wednesday. This is previous. This is not expectations yet. We don't have the forecast yet from ADP. But we certainly would like to see it above 54. We'd like to see it back in 6 figures. That's more of a maintenance level. Construction spending, yeah, nobody cares. Jobless claims, pretty good right now. And then, of course, we have Department of Labor numbers. We should get the expectations for these soon, though. I'm a little bit like, when do we see some sort of differentiation? A differentiation for the new statistician. Is that what we'd call him? Head statistician? The new Bureau of Labor Statistics head honcho. Last month, 22,000. We would love to see that. I actually thought unemployment got to 4.4. So, 4.3 is quite phenomenally low still. That's really not concerning. But we definitely want to make sure we keep seeing. I'd like to see this back up to at least 70 to 100,000 or more, even just to keep us at a maintenance level. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about the economic calendar, let me know. I'm going to peek over, and you'll notice that we were at 95. We were at 95%. We dropped back to 85, then moved back up to 90. So when we got today's or inflation numbers, I think that what we would interpret that as is good enough. It's good enough. Good enough. I'm still of the opinion that we're maybe only going to get one cut, but maybe we get both. Maybe it does turn out to be 3 in a row. So there you go. All right, let's go look at the market. There's the Reddit trade. It's moving pretty well. It's moved since the alert came out, I believe. I think I got that one out somewhere around in this area here. We popped up a little bit. What time is it now? Yeah, I think I got it right in this area here. Anyway, looks okay. Questions about it? What do we get here? We got the pullback we were looking for. The pullback declined in volume as it got closer to support. We got to this support level, higher low, above the 50. Stabilized, turned, cross. My line was ready for me out there. I've got my stop down underneath here, underneath this low. I've got a target up here at 284, and then I've got a take profit. And you might think, where did you put it? I put it right where I got 3 touches. 1, 2, 3, which is right at 270. 270, right there. 269.94. Nope, 270 is what I said. That's a good piece. You'll also tend to notice when I do the take profits, it tends to be about 2/3 the way up. Though anything crossed the halfway mark. So we did get a full 3-to-1 on the stock, which I believe turned into a 4-to-1 on the options, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you can see here looking 600 risk for over 2,800 gain, and that's going out a week. So 3-to-1 stock trade became 4-to-1 on the option. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're out of the money." I am out of the money. I am knowingly out of the money. The volatility is not phenomenal. I would have loved it to have been back down here between 65 and 70, but we're at 76, so it's a little higher than I want, but it's not up here or even way back up here, obviously. You guys have gone quiet on me. What do you think? Did you take it? Did you think about it? Did you like how it looked? Did you have some concerns? Are you a little bit quiet because you're thinking about the quality of your name? You can ask me what I think about it. I'm willing to give honest opinions on names. A lot of people don't put a lot of stock into names, but I do. Didn't see it, John said. It's valid. It's valid. Let me show you it. It's a valid trade. Where is it? Where are you, trade? Alerts. Reddit. Shabingo, shabango. Come on. Come on. Come on down. There it is. Entry range between 236.50 and 237.50, though now it's at 238.50. So I probably should not be restrictive like that. I just sort of meant like that's where the trigger came. Obviously, it's still very much a valid trade right now. Yeah, I probably should have given it a little more room. I tend to just like have this habit of like where I see it, I put like $1 range, but I just in my mind realized sometimes that could come off as like, oh, well, now it's too far and it's no longer good. No, it's a $238 stock. I can't have a $1 like, range for my entry. Stop down at 221.50 to, I didn't even put a range down here. Man, the Friday alerts. They've got some work to do, Scott. Get it together, man. Primary target 284. You can see the top of my line. Where did this line came from? It came from here and here and here. All of these very similar to this. We're not asking for more than it's shown the ability to give. Right? So take profit at 270, 10 to 12 days, 3-to-1. Volatility was mid. I didn't put it as low, but I said not low, but still okay to buy. Long calls. I still went. Now, this is the last day. Like today, we have 21 days. So if I want 10 to 14 remaining and I need 10, then I need at least 20, and I have 21. So this was like right at the cutoff for me being able to trade those Octobers going forward. Also, it was also necessary. The Reddit options are not like fabulous looking options. There's not like a ton of liquidity in the standard month at the $5 increments. There was good liquidity, 1,500, 1,800 contracts. So that's where I ended up going out of the money, getting those 360s. It is a good chunk. I mean, it is like 75% at risk theoretically by going out of the money. Not risking all of it, but it is a big chunk at risk. It's an expensive stock. I mean, it's this one's a little bit harder. Okay. Questions. Do I use an OCO? I tend to use, if I'm going to put a hard stop in, my tendency is actually a conditional or a contingent order. Where I might say, I might have one of them that says, if it gets to 270, I want out. Or if it drops down to 221.50, I want out. So there is a possibility. It's a great question, by the way. So there's a contingent order here and a contingent order here. I, if possible, would like to buy in at least 3 or more. so that I have flexibility to be like, all right, I'm going to do one contract here, two contracts here. And that way, if it drops to my stop, the stop is the same. They all stop at the same time. Used to be a little bit more problematic, not like hugely, but it used to be where you pay like $10 or $15 plus $1.50 a contract. So if you're like, if I had two different orders, I'd get charged an extra 10 or 15 because they were two different orders. That's not the case anymore. So an OCO is going to be based on the options price. And in that regard, you might say, I'm going to put a stop loss at 80 cents, which would be 360 minus 280. That's the risk per contract. 80 cents. Now, the thing is that, getting to that level on the first couple of days is much worse than getting to that level, much better. Well, it would actually travel farther than you maybe would want it to, but my tendency is this option's a derivative. The stock is what tells me if I'm right or wrong. The stock is wrong when it gets to 221.50. Then I estimate what would I lose there, but I have a tendency to put my stop more oriented around the stock price. An OCO is going to be oriented around the options price. So you would be like, the OCO would be to take this, and this would be 80 cents, right? 360 minus 280 equals 80 cents. So that would be one aspect of the OCO. The other one, this says 3-to-1. I think I'm getting 4-to-1. 4-to-1 times this? No, 4-to-1 risk to reward. So I'm thinking I'm getting 4x of this 280 risk. So that would be, if I got 4 of that 260 times 4, 260 times 4 would be, that was 26 cents. It would actually be $10.40. Right? So in that regard, I would take 1040 plus 360, and that would actually have me saying, hey, I think I'm going to get 14 on the other side. So my OCO might look like that. If I get to 14, sell. If it drops to 80, sell. And that's going to get me a 4-to-1. There's no wrong way. There's just different ways. And that would be only for like that's like if it gets all the way to its top target at 284. If it gets to 270, it would be a little bit different. We'd have to calculate that. And then you could be like, my other one would be, well, let me show you how I do that real fast. Risk profile. If it gets up here, I'm making, let's call it 1,400. That's 700 per contract. 700 per contract is $7. So that would be 1060. We'll call it 1050 for round numbers. 1050. Still 80 down below. You're risking most, but not all. So these would be OCO orders. I could have one of each of those, and then, or one of these and two of these based on the number of contracts. So the equivalent would look like this. I just have to put a conditional order that says, if the stock drops to 270, sell it. If it goes up to if it drops to 221.50, sell it. If it goes up to 270, sell one. If it goes up to 284, sell the others. And that's my trade. Does that make sense, John? Let me know if you have any further questions. And then, of course, there's manual adjustments along the way. All right. Let's keep going. Reddit. Let's hit the rest of the watch list and just see what else was cracking. What else was looking reasonable? Apple stalled out. I still think Apple has especially today after it's like back down almost in here. I still think it could flag or even pull back, and the pullback could come all the way down to here and still be valid. Let's be patient. I would love another Apple trade. Having had a couple in a row, actually, that were nice. Archer Daniels. Yesterday, Futu. Today, not looking as good, huh? I'm feeling it too. This is where I see it. It's consolidating. There's nothing there for me right now. Amazon. I don't love it. It broke the 50. Took out this low. Took out this low. Took out these lows. I see it in a consolidation. So I think it'll get there and roll until it gets through and then does one of these. I need to see the buyers show me something, especially because, oh God, Scott, your lines are horrible. Especially because that little break, when it actually broke those lows, it wasn't like, oh, it just sort of, snuck through. No, it smashed through with big volume. So I'm on a wait. ANET is still holding. If you're holding a piece of that, I don't know if you'd want to be holding the whole trade. I got to tell you, this is one I would think if I was in it, I would add back what I took off if I see this. I just don't feel like it broke support. It's got a great trend holding it up. APH still has a pullback to come, in my opinion. AVGO. You can see the stochastics has now crossed. Yeah, it's not great. I feel you clearly, John. It's hard, right? Because we've recovered from these trades, and not just recovered, but recovered and flourished on things like Apple, on things like Reddit, on things like APH. It's hard. For me, it's the posture that helps to be like, hey, I'm going to let it go a little longer. Have 3 weeks. Yes. What does that mean? It means you have 1 week. Because if we take it all the way to expiration, that's going to be really difficult. We need it to go like it starts Monday, Tuesday. And the only way we would hold it through Friday of next week is if it's already started recovering and it's now marching forward with Heiken Ashi momentum. Then it's like, okay. If we don't get that, we're gonna have to call it, right? AXP. No, we did AXP. We didn't. AXP. Financials look pretty good. They're kind of, you can see how similar these look. They're just sort of like, are they starting to go again? Citigroup. I thought about Citi as a flag. I thought, is this a flag? I had a pretty good trade here. Wasn't a great trade. It was a good trade. Did its job. Made some money. We have time before earnings, but we're not too far from earnings. We got to be aware of that. Caterpillar overextended. Flagging. I definitely want to trade this the next time. Where? Well, if it breaks here, and there's my target, and there's my stop. I'm going to put a target up in there. There's my trade. If I doesn't, then I think I still have all of this as a possibility, right? All of that is still wide open as a potential for it to move into. CCJ chopping around a bit. CLS chopping around a bit. Neither of those hold a lot of interest for me. COF, that's a maybe. That's a maybe where I would say valid. If you took it, I don't love the candle coming all the way back down into that doji form, but if someone was like, I took COF today, Scott, I'd be like, I see it. I see what you did. I see what you did. If you said I liked it, but I want to wait for a little bit more price confirmation, I would say, yeah, I could see that being beneficial. Right? I wish I could tell you trades were just these easy red light, green lights, but they're not. We know that. We know that there's a lot of subtleties into how we trade, what we're looking for, what gives us confirmation, etc. Coinbase. I actually feel like Coinbase is close. I think it's close. This was the old lows. We're above those. This was the consolidation. We popped up out of it, got all the way up to here, took out some previous highs in doing so. Now we have a pullback. What kind of volume do we have on that pullback? Not bad. So if this thing turns like this, Monday, Tuesday, I would say that's a valid opportunity for us to consider. And I'd be thinking it's going to maybe fill the gap at least, which puts it, around 375. I mean, that's a pretty good looking move right there. Let's pay attention to that early next week. Cisco. Yeah, Cisco's really just kind of like, if you held any, I would be thinking, yeah, I just can't keep it. Like gave us this little bit and then it pulled back. It's never broken support, but at the same time, it's really turned sideways. It's like all of a sudden you're like, wait, this thing's just spinning its wheels. It's not, the sellers haven't taken control, but it's definitely spinning its wheels. So if you have any Cisco remaining, yeah, that's one that I'd be thinking, I don't want to keep getting burned on time decay as this thing can't seem to get its shit together and move. Delta, nah. DoorDash, setting up. It broke up. It's pulling back. It hasn't done enough yet, but I think there could be a setup here coming up next week. Diamonds, bullish. I don't know. Not really a setup, though. DocuSign, stabilizing, getting ready. It's not a trade now, but certainly looks like, if we see something like this and then it goes into next week and turns, yes, come on. That looks fantastic. That puts us back up here near 90, in my opinion. My humble opinion. EA. What? Where did that come from? I didn't even see that earlier today. Did anyone notice that? How did I miss that? I swear I went through my watch list today earlier. And I did not. Yeah. Holy shit. Where did this come from, you guys? I'm like, I looked at this earlier today. There was nothing like that. Going private, John says. Okay. So there's going to be a buyout. Yeah, if you didn't know, you missed it. If you didn't know, you missed it. That's crazy. That's so funny. That announcement literally came out an hour ago. Because I looked through the whole watch list and I saw it in here where I'm like, yeah, there's nothing there. So funny that I did not see that news come. Anybody happen to be in that one out of curiosity? That'd be hard to, right? As an active trader, having just watched this thing fail to make a move back to its old highs here, hitting this same resistance around 174 or so, roll off of it as hard as it did and then just kind of stabilize at the 50. Trying to put a trade on that without some sense of the news would have been a very, very difficult trade. Expedia, valid, but almost too big, in my opinion. Too hard. It was a hard one to. I looked at it and I ran some numbers and I'm like, gosh, I just don't like what I'm getting here. My thought is if I can get the green Heiken Ashi on a little bit of a pullback, maybe around 220 to 221 on Monday, then there's a possibility for this one. Would have had to have been clairvoyant, right? Clairvoyant or have insider trading knowledge. Either one would be acceptable. Ford is one that I'm like, oh, I don't know about Ford. It looks a little sideways. Popped a little bit. That same thing. That's not really one I would have expected to get into. Oh, Futu. Come on, Futu. Come on. What's the good news? It's not a big sell-off. 15 minutes away, we're at average. We had above average buying, and then this pause. It can chop around a little bit, Futu. My thought is pair half the loss, keep the rest. That way you get to keep some at a pretty good level, but I'm still going to carry some of this through. Let me know if you have some and what you're doing with it. If you have some, what you're doing with it. Fiber would be a stock trade. Oh, it tried. Or a member of... Lee nailed it. Or a member of U.S. Congress. That's better than insider trading, right? I saw somebody post on LinkedIn and they're like, Nancy Pelosi is insider trading, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, pull the top 10 Congress people who are benefiting and you got half on one side, half on the other. That's a Congress problem. I think that's part of our problem these days is we can't even just be like bipartisan and calling out the corruption of the system, right? And that's why it'll never get fixed is each side can blame the other as they both bilk it. Frustrating. I'm certainly no fan of politicians in any way, shape, or form. But I got to tell you, they're corrupt on both sides, man. It's just which lobby is corrupting you. I don't know. I don't know about that one, Press. I don't remember seeing him on the top 10. Maybe he was. There was like a top 10 list of like who has the best benefit from it, and it was split 50-50 down the row. You know what I mean? So I'll call out both sides. I think it's garbage. That I here's what I would love: term limits, abolition of lobbies in general. Right? Just let the lobbies advertise, but not have the ability to contribute. Term limits. I think Buffett had an amazing idea. No balanced budget. You can't be on the ballot for re-election. How about that, right? Let's put skin in the game for politicians and watch things change. Skin in the game. Whatever the average, we'll even give it like slightly above average health plan that the average American has. That's your health plan in Congress, right? Not like you get this amazing health plan while the rest of the country gets trash. Let's put skin in the game and watch work get done. Yeah, madness. I think about like lifetime judicial appointments. I've read horror stories of like Supreme Court justices who are just like riddled with dementia and their clerks are writing their briefs and opinions. And I'm just thinking, this is just insane. They just stay forever. Like, I don't know, man. It's a broken system and it's just too corrupt to fix. We're just stuck with it. It's not great. Anyways. Okay, let's keep going. my little soapbox moment. GE, beautiful, setting up. That's ready for us next week. I'm already licking my chops for next week. Nice, strong move up here for all of them, right? Yeah, the problem is they all get addicted to power. Then they take steps to maintain power, not to fix things. But it's like their first 3 steps are to maintain power. And if there's anything else left, they're like, well, maybe we could try to help something. It's madness. IBM is off the charts. I think we're way too late. It's just gone. the freight train's moving. It'd be tough to jump on it. So GE looks great. I think GE's definitely a strong candidate for next week. And I like that we're seeing improvement in the industrials sector. Gold's still moving up there. Google. Ooh, I was thinking about it. Google's setting up for next week. That's another one. Goldman still out of reach. I don't know. Maybe that's turning. Maybe we have that coming. Robinhood setting up. I took this one. Didn't quite get where I wanted. Took half. Gave some back there, but I'm ready for the next one. How met. All I can think about is How I Met Your Mother. I don't know why it is. Every time I see this, I'm like, How I Met Your Mother Aerospace. I don't know if that's an entry there. Just chopping around a little. IBM, look at that. Just smashed through. Like I said, I had this, and then as it turned over, I'm like, oh, good trade. Let's get the next one. And then bing. In OZ, the politicians are appointed their income for life after a certain amount of terms, and their spouses inherit when they die. Yeah, that's nonsense. Do they have to like clean the streets or something to contribute? Madness, I say. Like, it doesn't even matter if you did a good job or not, right? Like, I don't know. Or you have to have like a 60% approval rating to run. How does Congress right now have like a standing approval rating of like 26%? Nobody likes it, but there's just no one better. Imagine if like the only way you could run is you had to have an approval from the other side, right? It can't just be you have a 45%, which means your party likes you. You got to have the other side too. And then there's skin in the game for them to actually do something. Were we talking about nuclear yesterday? That's what led to my Homer Simpson nuclear. Quantum. Well, whatever it is, it's smashing higher, as is Intel. I just didn't feel comfortable. I saw this pull back. I saw it start to turn. Just felt choppy and too much, news driven. And so I didn't do it. If you did, well done you. IWM looks good. Who took this yesterday? We were talking about this last night. Someone did. I can't remember now. Maybe it was a different conversation with traders I was having. Levi, that's another one. Good, not great, but made money, did its job, and now I'm looking for the next one. Absolutely. I want another one on Levi. Good trade. Ready for another one. Lumentum. That's a great point, Nick. I feel like I still want to call you Nicasio because it's such a great name. I'm going to go back and forth on that. Well, that's a great point. That's exactly what they do, right? They keep us pointing fingers at each other, so we never point fingers at them. I would rather we point fingers at them. News says Intel is too important to fail. Oh, God, another one of those? Lumentum, I think, could be a setup here, but you'd have a hard time with this one, putting a stop way down here. I don't know. I'm thinking about that early next week. We'll revisit it. I actually thought about Las Vegas Sands today. You can see that. I thought about that for an alert. I may or may not, full disclosure, have pulled the trigger myself. I don't know. Anybody else? If you've traded any of these as we go through them, flag it. Tell me. I want to hear if you're pulling the trigger on other things that we're watching that didn't necessarily come out. I still think Live Nation is setting up. It wasn't enough to trigger here, but it is kind of a little bit of a hiccup off that first little bit. I think that's set up for next week. Meta. Oh, I wanted Meta to hold. So I think we're stuck with Google. I don't like this thing breaking its prior low and the 50 at the same time. So I'm going to be focused much more on Google. Give me your thoughts. Morgan Stanley, maybe. Microsoft is a maybe. Little sneaky reversal, pulling back, holding the 50. We tried it back here. Ended up having to bail. Maybe trying to go now. Micron on a pullback, setting up potentially. I like the way that this is setting up. Netflix, mostly sideways. Northrop Grumman. Okay. It gave us a chance back here. It had been really, I gotta tell you, I switched it to a consolidation read more than a hold the 50 read. So I did not take that trade. It's working out, but my thought is if it stalls out here, rolls over, gives me this, that's the trade I want. Making sure I can get it before earnings comes. You can see coming up. Earnings is going to become more and more part of the discussion as we get closer to earnings season. Keep that in mind, you guys. NVIDIA setting up. That's a sneaky reversal. It was a little bit of a consolidation, popped up. Now as it pulls back, if it gives me the higher low, why does my pen not want to draw? Gives me the higher low right through here. Right? If it does something like this, that's something we should be thinking about. We like NVIDIA. Pagaya setting up maybe for a bounce off the 50. Palantir flagging. I like Palantir on a flag. QQQ flagging. Roblox. I think Roblox was another one that I was very, very close to today. And I'm looking at that early because when this thing trends, it trends like a beast. We never know when that's going to come. It could be coming out of that. Reddit, of course. Oh, yeah, Reddit's going a little bit for us now here, huh? Come on, Reddit. Keep on going, baby. Reddit's moving a little bit. Rocket Lab, maybe. Silver. Man, look at silver. Just look up at 42. Ridiculous. I didn't give my kids silver this last Christmas because I took them on a very expensive trip to Europe. I want to go back a little bit and see. Last Christmas I did. Where was last Christmas? Right in here. 2021. Ooh, I'm going to tell my son it's doubled since then. I wished I would have, but I was still only around 26 at the time. Oh my God. I'm telling you, we had a trip to the UK that was phenomenal. Our next trip is in the late summer 26. It's going to be at Paris. We'll pop over to Normandy, up to Brussels, and then back through Euro Disney. Should be a lot of fun. I actually, little known fact, I actually lived in Paris for a couple of years as a young lad. The movable feast that it is. When I was a teenager, and I'll tell you what, you can find a lot of different ways to get yourself in trouble as a teenager in Paris. Oh, goodness. Parlez-vous français un peu? Pas très bien. I could probably still curse, order a beer, and pick a fight. Those are probably those were the three things I was pretty good at back in the day. SoFi. Oh, it's setting up beautifully. I told you I feel like I've missed a couple of trades on this one. This one's setting up real nice. We've got some great looking trades setting up for next week. Sunday should be a good day for us to really highlight some good ones. Do we have volume today? We do not, but it's a pretty good day, holding up. Tesla still kind of moving around up at its old highs. I don't know about that. TSM also setting up. I think both TSM and NVIDIA and PLTR, all three of our big three, are setting up. Uber. holding, but I think Uber's also kind of setting up. I think someone mentioned Uber earlier. Dottie, was that you? I apologize that I didn't jump. You guys know I'm superstitious about alphabetical order. I don't want to bring an alphabet curse on myself, so I have to stick to the rules. I would say that looks like it's kind of a sneaky higher low potentially developing there. So overall looks bullish to me. Upwork flagging, pulling back, a little consolidation. It might have one more move in this parabolic up shape it has. Visa does not look great. Here's the VIX. What were we talking about for the VIX? Lower high. That will get scored. Our posture will improve. That's a big one. Look at that. Was it John who mentioned this? John, I mean, the institutions are pretty heavily removing any hint of hedges. That's what that tells me there. Walmart. It's funny because the stochastics has turned on Walmart, but I've got 3 doji, so I'm just not like 100% that's, in the vein. And there it is. That's our watch. Gotta tell you, man, I feel like Fridays are more fun for whatever reason. Maybe we're all just ready for the weekend, but still productive. Like, this was a great day. I feel good about where we are. I feel good about the trades I'm taking with me into next week. I feel good about setups that are developing for next week. There's the closing bell. I feel good about what we see in our posture, what's holding up, and how it looks. So whatever else we hear people thinking about and feeling and believing and whatever else, what we see it's holding up. I honestly think we have what we need to see a final end of the year as a bull run. So anyways, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Don't forget to give me a little bit of time trying to get your trading plan. We're on risk management. A lot of 7.5s. Give me an hour. Let's get it to an 8. If you're not there, just give me an hour and you can get it to a 7 probably in that hour. Next week, we're going to shift gears into daily routines. So there it is. Okay. I had a blast today. It flew by. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. I appreciate your commitment, dedication to the market, and willingness to listen to me prattle on about the quality of names and politicians needing skin in the game, as well as some market concepts. Yes, everybody, I agree with Nicasio. Have an amazing weekend. I'll see you Sunday morning, if not Monday morning. As always, happy trading.